On the program right now is Alex Wilkes, Executive Director of AmericaRisingPAC.org. How you doing?
Hey, Andrew. Thanks so much for having me.
Can you hear the depression in the voice of Chuck Todd there? We have other clips like this. They're starting to get sad-faced over there at MSNBC and CNN.
We're not quite at Halloween yet, but it's very spooky and very mysterious because you no longer hear Tom Perez, chairman of the DNC, using the word blue wave anymore on television. He's been hard-pressed to use it in the last couple of days. It's just disappeared.
Well, when you look at the fact in the modern era, presidents of both parties tend to lose one, if not both chambers of Congress. That's fairly regular. Bill Clinton had a Republican wave come in after his first inauguration. So, that's to be expected. And I realize if it happened here, the media be telling us not that it's standard fare, but it's a rejection of Trump. But with 3.7% unemployment and shrinking, with wages rising the fastest we've seen in 10 years, with the literal encouragement of Hillary Clinton on down of violence towards Republicans, and this 7,000 migrant caravan now being encouraged by the media and the Democrats, I think the voters that Chuck Todd is talking about will once again break for Republicans.
I totally agree. I just don't think that you have in the making the Democratic wave, given the what we're seeing with the president's approval ratings and what we're seeing with the economy. I think that even Cook and a couple of the other forecasters have scaled back their analysis, now going from 50 to 60 seat pickup to closer to 20 to 30. But as you mentioned, that's to be expected in a midterm year. Usually the party in power in the White House loses seats. That being said, I just don't think that the Democrats have provided a credible alternative to the Republican Party, and particularly with their antics of mob sort of rule, what they did during the Kavanaugh hearings. I think that was a huge turnoff to a lot of undecided voters.
Well, again, if you're an undecided voter and one political party's literally saying, Hillary Clinton saying there will be no civility until we have power back. I still think even in the minds of moderate Democrats, they want the right to decide for themselves, right? We know that there were Democrats that voted for Reagan. There were Republicans that voted for Obama. In the end, people don't like being told that if they don't abide, there will be violence. Most voters don't like that.
I don't think so at all. And I think that, whether it's the politics of destruction, so actually going after people in restaurants and the videos that we see there, people don't like that. They also don't like the politics of obstruction. So, you see Nancy Pelosi really trying to rein in some of these Democrats who are, talking about impeachment of both of President Trump and of Justice Kavanaugh. They're starting to worry because both of these things, whether it's, political aggression or actual aggression, just does not play well with these independent voters that they have to crucially sort of persuade in the next couple of weeks here.
Also, the media got real excited about Robert O'Rourke. We get that. He's down 9 points. I don't think that was realistic from the get-go. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just turned a blue district even bluer. I live in New Jersey 11. We've had a Republican member of Congress there, I think, for 25 years, maybe longer than that. But losing a Republican seat in a blue state, that could be, I guess the Democrats can claim it as a victory, but really that's kind of to be expected, right? You kind of expect those things, and let me put this in a perspective I haven't heard from anyone else. If the Republicans lose a few seats but keep control of the House of Representatives, the Freedom Caucus becomes even more powerful.
Yeah, I think that where the Democrats, are initially sort of turning their firepower towards, or what they were doing, is they were looking at these Clinton districts. So these were districts that the president did not win, but you have a Republican member in them. However, what they failed to acknowledge is that most of those members, including in the district that you're talking about, ran ahead of the president in their district. So people were making distinctions from the top of the ticket on downward, which were important, and I think the Democrats, sort of too hastily disregarded. But when it comes to, sort of the map expansion that they've tried to do, whether it's Texas, where they've sort of like had this folly there for a while, there's always been this love affair with Texas, thinking that they're going to turn it blue, or even on the House side in a less sexy race, Arkansas 2nd District, they dumped in a bunch of money there, and the Democrat is still down 12 points. And so that was a part of when everyone was talking about this blue wave, and Democrats got a little overexcited and started investing in places that were traditionally red areas, not just sort of the Clinton suburban sort of districts. I think that there are two things you can't get back in politics, and that's money and time. I think that they're going to be hurting for that cash. In the next couple of years.
Good. Jeb Bush spent $50 million to be out by South Carolina. I want to read you a headline from 538. Not exactly, doing the deeds of the conservative movement. Headline: Democrats really could lose that New Jersey Senate seat. They're saying that Bob Menendez is so damaged that Bob Hugin could actually win the seat. Now, what happens if Republicans hold the House of Representatives, not only make gains, because I think Heidi Heitkamp is out of there, if they actually pick up a blue state Senate seat?
That would be absolutely devastating for the Democratic Party, and especially after they've already kind of sent in the cavalry to go rescue Bob Menendez. Senate Majority PAC, that's Chuck Schumer's super PAC, he sent in $3 million. I mean, that is $3 million that's not going to help Claire McCaskill in Missouri or Bill Nelson in Florida or some of these other tighter races. It's being spent in New Jersey, of all places. And so, I think that Bob Hugin has presented a case for being a credible alternative. He fits the politics of the state pretty well, and whereas I think a lot of voters are looking at Bob Menendez and saying enough is enough already. Even some Democrats that I know of are saying I'm done with this guy.
Well, look, I realize he skated on the accusations of sleeping with underage prostitutes in the Dominican Republic. But if we're going to believe all victims, and this is the era of Me Too, and if you're guilty until proven innocent and allegations are truth, these are not 36-year-old allegations from high school keg parties. These from just a couple of years ago. And we know he was taking, illicit cash from this guy, Dr. Salman Melgen. So Menendez, there are signs all over New Jersey that don't say Bob Hugin, they just say fire Menendez.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's worth noting that Menendez has, always had a problem from his left flank in recent years, whether it's, his more vocal support for Israel compared to that of other Democrats, or, even these charges of sex with underage girls in the Dominican Republic. There are, a lot of places for the progressives to, sort of take issue with him. And, I think that was really, you really saw that come to fruition in the primary, where he had a no-name running against him. And that person garnered a pretty healthy share of the vote without even campaigning or having any money. And so, he's had an enthusiasm problem. Recently, it's been reported that he's having a problem getting Hispanics excited about voting for him. And in fact, a lot of prognosticators are saying that he might have to rely on this so-called blue wave to boost him from the bottom in order to get over the top at the top of the ticket, which is just a completely strange place to be for a multi-year incumbent like he is.
Well, I will say this, and I even though I'm not liking what I'm going to end up writing in checks this year, I'm sure, I don't think the heat should be taken off New York, New Jersey, Illinois, and California as it relates to the state and local tax deduction. I think what needs to happen is there needs to be a little pain from some of these moderate, upper middle class Democrats who like to vote for the big state state tax increases and then write them off to the federal government. It'd be nice to see some people say, you know what? The state has to bring down taxes now. We have to lower state taxes. And if Bob Menendez loses to Bob Hugin, I think you will see going into 2020 people ready to vote Republican in places in New Jersey. They've never been really ready to vote Republican before. But I do have to leave it there. Alex Wilkes, Executive Director of America Rising PAC. It's AmericaRisingPAC.org. You know you're always welcome on the program.
Thanks so much, Andrew. I love being on.
All right.